Guys, so I'm just back from the gym, and there's this group of guys that train at the exact same time as me every single day, and I've seen them for the last 2 weeks, and I've overheard them. They want to get into shape for summer, and they're making one huge mistake that I see so many people make each and every single time I'm in the gym. I can see this happen. If your goal is to build an aesthetic physique, you want to build some muscle tissue, you want to get jacked, you can have your nutrition on point. You can have the best training plan in the world, your supplementations, your sleep, your step count, your cardio, everything can be on point. But if you're not training your muscles to failure, or at least close to failure, you will not build the physique you want. And it just got me thinking about when I first started training. I was in the gym, everything was dialed in, and I was consistent. I was even to the point where I was 6, sometimes 7 days a week, because I was like, I just need to get to the gym, I need to lift weights, yada, yada, yada. All the basics was getting ticked off. But I wasn't growing at the rate that I saw some of the older guys grow. And I was frustrated by this, and it really annoyed me. And then I remember one day, still a good friend of mine today, he said, you need to be progressing your lifts. Because the reason why, let me explain it to you. You don't actually build muscle in the gym. You actually break your muscle fibers down. You tear the muscle tissue down when you're in the gym, and then when you sleep, you eat, you recover. That's when you grow back bigger and stronger. But you need to give your body a reason to grow. And if you're going into the gym, as I said, your training split can be the most optimal training split you have. But if you're not tearing and recruiting new muscle fibers each time, if you're not breaking down the muscle fibers each time you go into the gym and your goal is to build muscle tissue, your body doesn't really have anything to repair from. So then it won't grow and won't get bigger, essentially, okay? So what we need to do is we need to track our lifts, and then we need to make sure that we're either lifting more weight or more reps on a weekly basis. And it's as simple as that. Yes, there are other factors come in. You need to be in a slight calorie surplus, but this video right now is about training and training intensity. Because I feel it's the number one mistake that people make when they're in the gym. They're going in on the phone, another couple of sets. They're not even checking the weights they're lifting. They don't know whether they're lifting the same or more weight from the last time. And you just won't get the results, okay? You will not get the results. I've been through the pain, and even I had one of my clients who I just linked up with, he's here in Marbella as well. He'd been just starting, and we were getting some, everything was dialed in, routine was dialed in, everything from top to bottom was on point. But I could tell he wasn't training with this right intensity. I was getting some video feedback from him just to analyze his training. I was like, we need to be pushing that little bit harder. And he was like, I'm training hard. I was like, you're not. I know you're not. So I met him a few days ago, last week, and we've had a couple of sessions since we've been here together. And already you can see the physique, the pop, nothing else changed. The only thing and the only adjustment that we made was his training. So if you're in a position right now, summer's not far away as well, guys. You want to build that physique, an aesthetic physique. You're in the gym, you feel like you've been consistent. Your diet's relatively on point, but you know deep down that you're not training hard enough. You need to make sure that you are training hard, okay? Get a notepad, get a pen, log your lifts, make sure you're progressing. I promise you, it will be game changer for you. I did it for a 6-month period, and it was the most muscle tissue I ever grew. That has to be the number one, is your training, okay? If you're eating relatively good diet, yes, you do need to get your macros dialed in so you're responding in the way you want. But as I said, guys, if your diet isn't on point or your diet is on point but you're not training correctly, you just won't grow muscle tissue. And another mistake I see people make is they're trying to bulk. They're bulking, they're gaining weight, the scales is going up, they think they're gaining muscle tissue. But again, no progression on the lifts means no muscle tissue gained. It's as simple as that. And you don't have to be spending all day in the gym either, okay? If you're in the gym now and you've been consistent, you can shorten those. A lot of the time we can shorten those workouts to 45 minutes to 60 minutes. Pick a couple of compound movements, heavy movements, like your chest press, your incline press, your shoulder press, leg press. Have them as your core. That needs to be the foundation of your workout. And then you can add in some isolation work in and around it, okay? Even 2 sets with true intensity on your main compound movements is more than enough to grow, as long as you're taking it to failure. And then when it comes to like your isolation work, your bicep curls, your leg extensions, your lateral raises, you can do maybe like 3 sets and a little bit higher rep range. But the key is to have a good structure that you can follow each time you go into the gym. Excuse me. And then you just continue to follow that plan for at least an 8 to 12 week block. Because if you're going into the gym, you're chopping and changing the workouts. You're chopping and changing the order in which the exercises come. You're going to run into the same issues. Have your bench press at the start of the workout, the next week you might have it at the end of your workout. But you're not able to accurately track the progress with that because you're going to be a lot more fatigued from the end of the workout to the start of the workout. So get your structure correct. You follow it for at least an 8 to 12 week period minimum. Keep the order the same, progress the lifts, and I promise you, you will build an aesthetic physique. That's the foundation. Get your training dialed in. Make sure your macros is on point, but training is number one. Get it done, mi amigos.